Welcome back to the Major, guys. We're here in Atlanta for day 2 of the play-ins, which, believe it or not, is our final day. We eliminated 4 teams yesterday, Mandy. Another 4 must go home today. But the flip side of that is we're seeing a lot of teams qualifying through to Phase 2, the Swiss stage of the Major. That's what we're talking about right now. Next game up is Bliss versus Spacestation, an upper bracket final, an unlikely upper bracket final, perhaps. Which team are you rooting for again? I can't quite tell.
Bliss up, baby.
Oh, really? I hadn't noticed.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I guess you're excited for this game.
Yeah, you could say that. I'm pretty excited for this one. Spacestation are probably one of my other favorite teams in the tournament as a whole to watch as well. I cannot wait to see them in the server. I got robbed of my Spacestation game yesterday. Stokes took that one from me to cast it with you instead, so I'm really keen to see how these guys fare in the server. Their playstyle is so much fun to watch, and I think against Bliss, they're going to feel pretty, well, Bliss are going to feel pretty tested by these guys.
Yeah, if they weren't tested yesterday against Wolves, which they were, they will be even more tested now against Spacestation. Mandy, get this. The last time that we saw an Australia versus USA clash was at the Charlotte Major 18 months ago. Now, that was Chiefs versus Astralis. We have Fisho Guy from Chiefs on Team Bliss. We have J90 and Forrest from Astralis here on Space Station. This is the first USA-Australia rematch in 18 months, and 3 of the players in the server are the exact same. And that sets up a beautiful revenge narrative for Fisho Guy.
Oh, that's so exciting. I really cannot wait for Fisher Guy to see if he can land what he was not able to do earlier last year. I just can't wait. They've improved so much. Team Bliss, they were basically the midfield, the solid midfield team over all the way through 2022, but 2023 has been their year, and this is their chance to show up against the big NA dogs.
That's right, and this, as you can see from that graphic, both teams are already qualified for SI, so this doesn't determine their SI fate, but of course, the future at the Atlanta Major will be determined in this game. You head straight to Swiss if you win it, otherwise you drop down and you will face Wolves in the lower bracket, who are very keen, as I heard yesterday, to face Bliss and get their revenge. So, will it be SSG versus Wolves in that lower final, or will Bliss get a rematch? Let's see what maps are going to. Mandy, we've almost seen the whole veto go through. I believe it's just Labs and Clubhouse left remaining.
Yeah. Oh no, we don't get labs today as well. Oh, I'm so excited. We've seen Bliss's labs over in OS. Space Station, we've only seen it once, so not nearly at the frequency that the Bliss guys, actually the same frequency that the Bliss guys have played it. But nevertheless, we are going to go to Clubhouse. And I think the veto has played out about the way that I expected it to. Team Bliss are essentially forced to ban out, Skyscraper, Oregon. They basically don't play those maps at all. Auto bans, Consulate thrown in there, probably a more weak map for them. But on the side of SSG, they have just such a diverse big map pool range that is really hard to point out a weakness in their map pool. To me, Clubhouse, I think, is a great middle ground between these two teams. Team Bliss play it, they know what's going on, but so do SSG. They've had some pretty significant results on it recently. Yeah,
to me, this actually feels like both teams going to one of, if not their very best map. But Team Bliss are actually on a 7-game win streak. They have not lost it all year long, and they have a 71 attack and 73 defense % win rates. Now, that is some crazy stats. Of course, playing majority of those games within the OS region, if not the APAC region, does skew the results a little bit, but for Space Station, it's almost as good. They have a 5-2 record this year, and that's 3 wins in a row, including convincing games against teams like Oxygen and Wildcard, who, despite not making it to the Major, have been phenomenal in North America this stage. So I think that this sets up a banger of a match, a real barn burner, a super awesome showing of what both of these teams can do on one of their very best maps.
I'm really looking forward to jumping into the server for this one. Clubhouse plays out very differently to the labs that we might have seen, but I think it's going to set us up for what is a game that is going to test so many different aspects of both these teams' gameplay, especially Team Bliss, right? Clubhouse doesn't really play it like Australia, like we saw them play against Wolves yesterday. This one, we're going to see if they can get both the checklist stuff done, they can get their pacing right, but they can also bring in some ideas into the server, because against Space Station, it's going to be a pretty tough opponent to just do your basic things and try and get away with it.
Very much so. This is a Australia versus USA matchup here. It's early in the morning over in Australia, and it is right in the middle of the day here in the US of A. I'm sure that all of the fans of both of these teams will be getting behind these guys as they fight for a spot in the Swiss System's second phase of the Major. Here on Clubhouse, we're getting into it. We're already seeing the bans roll through, and that Monty taken out by SSG. Clearly, they know something about Bliss that perhaps we don't.
I can only imagine that might be a bit of a Fisher Guy ban. Fisher Guy does have a tendency to like to bring out the Monty for some of their attacks and some of the bright ideas that they might have trying to jump their way on into this map. Interesting ban as well. The Thatcher actually being banned pretty quick out by Bliss almost instantly does lean into the fact that they don't really want to be playing that impact bandit trick minigame. They want to open up their defensive lineup to have more options. They don't have to force themselves to bring along that bandit, bring along that Cade, because, well, Maverick's probably going to be the hard breach in play if it's necessary.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being
I love a bit of Maverick Clubhouse. It feels like he's shifted out of the meta a little bit, except for on this map and labs, but I would love to see it. The Solus ban from Bliss. Now, this is something that we talk a lot about in the OS region, right, Mandy? And in general, in this event so far, we've seen it from quite a few teams, enabling the pre-placed drones. And on a map with as much map to fight over as Clubhouse, all of that top floor, all of that ground floor, when attacking this basement, will need to be cleared for the majority of attacks. You really want to get rid of that Solus.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But what that does mean is that it does enable that pre-placed drone type gameplay. And as we get into the server, I am curious as to whether SSG have actually got a read into this idea. It does look like they are swapping off to those roam clearing operators of the Dokubi and of the Amaru as well. All 10 drones still alive for SSG too, but it doesn't look like anyone's just jumped on the cams immediately. They're going to claw their way into the building and try and enable this roam clear with the Dokubi calls, with that logic bomb, and see if they can get their way in quickly.
It does seem to be a full map clear. I can see the cameras placed by Oda there on Bliss, mostly fairly close to the bomb site. They're not really far on the very top floor. They're mainly to, I think, retake and contest, perhaps get some late round rotation information on that ground floor. Brendo's done a great job. Oh, he's actually impact trick and done a lot of damage. Default's not able to secure the kill. Defaults has got to be extra careful. He's very low HP now, and the opening pick has already been exchanged. It's the two rookies. Waitables taking down Ashen and immediately traded by Hot and Cold on this top floor. The roam game is afoot.
Well, quick entry though from Hot and Cold on the Amaru, who's completely swept in through the jacuzzi side of the map, and Faults on the cutoff is going to collect Brendo as he tries to fall off in through Secret Sage. Now, being a little more cautious on the fall off, seeing that his brother has just died and will retreat back to the site safely.
Very early exchanges, isn't it, Mandy? Very much a good advantage for Space Station early on, but still a lot of map to clear. I do think that it's quite a significant advantage, to be fair, as Kaid is banned, Hibana is in play. It really opens up a lot of hatches very easily, and I think that Space Station have a big opportunity here that Bliss need to decide how are they going to deal with it. Are they going to just sit back and wait, or are they going to start trying to contest?
I think you've pointed that out exactly right. SSG, they've got a lot of options here with that double hard breach in play. Not only are they going to be able to get open all the hatches, but the ace does mean that they can open up the triple wall if they so desire. And with 1 minute and 14 left to go, they have lots of time to figure out what they want to do.
Good drone work from J90 there. Let's just spot it out and taken down, but the Dread Mine has been spotted. Fisher Guy's Fenrir, very powerful in this current meta, especially on a site like this. As we can see, Brendo's Vulcan canisters popped by his teammates to try and delay a bit of time. Still man advantage for SSG, and Bliss do not seem to be over-aggressing. They are waiting. Yeah,
the idea here with SSG is don't telegraph your push, because the moment you telegraph your push, all of the Bliss players are then going to go and reconvene over there and stop what's going on. It does look like they are posturing in for this triple take. Sage on the other side with the head walls open is going to be the main point of contest here for the defense, and with 30 seconds left to go, they're going to try and kick it all off, but through the vertical, actually not through the vertical, through the head holes. Sage is able to collect J90 down on the bottom of West Main, and the push has to come through now.
That's the second kill for Sage at the end of this round. Forrest walking through the Dread Mine. He's taken down once again. Big Brother gets it done. Forrest with it all to do against 3 players who must lie in wait. Visho Guy takes down his opponent in the final kill. Beautiful headshot and a wonderful start for Team Bliss.
Fantastic composure there from Team Bliss as the round ticked on by. Space Station, they really could have done anything. I would say there in that final execute, they had the option to do something like a triple, a kitchen hatch drop. They could have flooded Mode, they could have gone down blue. Anything could have happened. But what was really the key there was the micro of Fisher Guy on the Fenrir. We saw on board of a Space Station like 2 or 3 of those Dread Mines go off, and it completely told the tale of exactly where the attack was going to be. Off the back of that info, Sage was able to collect his double kill, Not just that, but even the blue push that then followed, Fisher Guy was able to hold the cross with his teammate to prevent them from getting on into the site. And that's the necessity of that passive intel through in the late round and the micro that needs to come out from your Fenrir player. If you lose those activations of the Dreadmine early on trying to support the roam, you're not going to have that passive intel later into the round, but Fisher Guy played that really well.
Indeed he did. It takes actually a lot of skill to use that Fenrir well. I don't know about you, but when Fenrir first came out and I was experimenting with it, I thought of it more as like an Ela mine, as a trap. You set, you forget. Of course, you get 5 of those gadgets. Only 3 can be active at a time, but it takes a lot of skill in particular, not just to juggle them, but to make sure they don't get destroyed. Because if they're open, they're vulnerable, of course, and when they get taken down, you lose that charge. You can't then go and reactivate one of the other ones. So if you have 3 active and they all get shot down, it doesn't matter that you've got still 2 in the pocket. Like, they're not going to be able to be activated. The skill ceiling on Fenrir is actually very high, so much so that I actually kind of gave up on using him.
What?
It's pretty hard. Like, I don't know about you, maybe I'm just too much of a run and gun player these days, but it's really challenging to make sure you deactivate them before they get shot.
So what you're saying is you're the problem with Ranked 2.0.
I play Hibana on Clubhouse, so I get at least some credit for that.
You get some credit for that. You get some credit for that. That's fair enough. But, you know, I think that is certainly fair enough to say to play Fenrir, you definitely need to learn the finesse of the micro. And I think that having it on, like, you know, especially your IGL player or Fisher Guy, it's really important. That being said, I do want to flip the story a little bit to SSG. Their attack, that was a solid roam clear. They did a very nice, like, hammer and anvil type roam clear. It was just the execute phase that they didn't quite call right early enough, unfortunately. And so I think for these guys jumping over into CCTV and Cash, they are going to get that second chance to prove themselves.
Indeed they will. And to most people, this CCTV cache bomb site's actually not free, but it's a far more comfortable bomb site to attack. Now, the Azami has been kept into this ban phase, right? And I think Spacestation, by banning out that Kaid, they will have to deal with, in fact, 2 very, very powerful operators on this bomb site. The Mirror and the Azami, indeed, will both be very powerful at holding on to these key positions. So as we can see, Brendo's just placed one of these mirrors in the bathroom facing that jacuzzi balcony, and a second one on the main breach, just to make it a little bit more difficult to open up this wall and enable some impact tricking. But really the key for me is how this Azami will hold on to the rafters position.
The other curious pick I gotta say for SSG is Forest on the Blackbeard. Okay, hang on a moment. Wettables has just gone and taken down J90 on the rafters, the position that you were speaking of. But he has been down of his own. But here goes Hot and Cold early on the entry with the Amaro to take down Fisher Guy on the other side of the map. Wettables still down, but not out, but not exactly in the safest position to resurrect. He is stuck on that rafters position, and that essentially makes it a 3-on-4 with the advantage of Spacestation.
Yeah, especially when Faults can just drone him out. This is pretty awkward for Bliss, all things considered. Like, that Azami is great and powerful, but oh, that was so well played by the 2 brothers, Brendo and Sage, together. Make sure they can retake. Ashen, though, might be able to get this trade on Sage! He's been so good here in Atlanta. He's found his form. 3K in the first round, and a pivotal one here in the second. Forest and Hot and Cold left with it all to do, and this mountain will certainly be troublesome one to climb. Hot and Cold. Oh, beautiful
nice
shot. His second kill for the round. But he's got 2 players on the rafters to deal with.
No, they know exactly where it is. That default cam was facing him right underneath, and Sage and Wettables are going to be here thinking they're lucky stars that Wettables is alive right now. Forest, though, with the Blackbeard shield in hand, is going to double down on the position with Hot and Cold, initiated by the flashbang to take down Wettables.
Bliss, do not throw this one. It's a 2v1 now for Space Station. Down from a 4v2. And the captain of the Aussies must do it all. Forest has been fantastic on this Blackbeard. He's been looking for these kills. And Space Station are not going to over-aggress here. They're not going to get carried away. Oda has to play this to perfection.
Forest as well, playing it with just as much caution as Oda is at the moment. He's actually going to drone him out. I think they have seen him now in the corner of red. Have they, actually? Okay, they're going to put 2 drones here, so they're even covering off his rotation if he tries to go back down to the ground floor and initiate that gunfight as well. Oda now creeping up his way to try and isolate these one-to-ones, but might be caught in the cross.
Dangerous, dueling a Blackbeard. One of the worst opponents that you could be going up against in a position like this for Oda. Now that fire will subside in just a few seconds. He takes down the Blackbeard shield, and he's waiting for the second swing. There is a drone on him. He takes down. The cross has been made by Hot and Cold. The plant likely heard. Forest must cover, and he does so perfectly. Space Station win that second round, a 2 versus 4 comeback, and a massive boon for the Americans.
Such sharp shooting as well from Hot and Cold. The disruptor player on SSG enabled himself into the building to take down Fisher Guy. Not just that, but the shot he landed on Brendo in mini garage was like, damn, you know, SMG-11 headshot to the face. That's not so nice. That's pretty nasty. Hot and Cold getting sharp with it. And really, SSG mounted a pretty successful attack in the end in the 2-on-2 situational moment. I really like that they were able to dial things back, get the drones in, make sure they didn't fumble the bag against Oda.
Yeah, they did it well. 1 by 1 is how you win back those rounds. We saw this a lot yesterday. In fact, Space Station against Alpha Atheris, they had this magic about them. Even when they were in numbers deficits on attack on Skyscraper, which is traditionally a very hard map to crack, right? Especially when the defense has just a few lines of sight that they have to watch. Space Station kept making it work. There was one round, Jano jumps into Samurai and finds 4 kills and brings back a 2 versus 4. Space Station, of all the teams I've watched this tournament, seem to be the best at fighting on attack from a numbers deficit, fighting from behind. They will not let rounds go, and Bliss need to be ultra careful, especially on this defense side, not to let rounds like that slide.
Yeah, that's the magic of Space Station, isn't it? These guys, in a situational moment, are probably one of the most adaptable teams, I would say, in the lineup of Phase 1 in general. They just have all these bright ideas, and that's what happens when you have players like Hot and Cold, like Forest, these big ideas people in the server and making calls like that.
A couple of new ingredients brought out this round for SSG. I like this Ying pick. Could be influential in the late round. Now we've gone to Gym and Bedroom. Brendo is going to contest. It actually looks like Bliss are consistently contesting the opposite side of the map on every one of these attacks. And I think if I was them at the moment, I'd be really cautious of Hot and Cold. Now, this time he's on the sledge, but 2 rounds in a row, he's played that Amaru, and he's found really early kills. He's actually been phenomenal on this entry. And speaking of great, have a look at this drone placement from Fault. So much information lapped up.
They're really having to think about hitting the site here. Fultz is like, guys, we can do it. We just need to plan it out. Have a think about it. Meanwhile, Forest on the other side is trying to open up a couple other options by taking in that garage rafters position on the drones. They've actually elected to go in for the sweep, which I think is the right call here. A lot of that resistance that was initially inside of rafters and inside of Cash has actually been pretty forfeited by Bliss in general. There's really only one player left on the other side of the map, and that's Wettables. And yes, he does have the crossfire with Brendo, but with the nades sailing in from below, he's about to be in a world of hurt.
Slow but sure, the Space Station. Here comes the Candela. It's actually a mini execute here under the top red position. Wettables completely flashed out. Player coming up from the bottom red stairs, and it is indeed Hot and Cold. Not through a nade from below, but from walking straight up the staircase to find the opening kill.
Solid collapse there from Space Station as they actually dedicate themselves to going for this sweep across the map. Now they have full control inside of Cash and CCTV, but it's about converting that then inside of Con and in towards the bomb site after that. Here goes Hot and Cold. 1 grenade remaining in his hands down the bottom of the main stairs, but Oda seems to have his number. Dialed in, 50 seconds left to go. Hot and Cold will try and make the move.
Does he have information on where this player is in logistic? That remains the question. Oda is watching the main stairs. Now Sage could stand on safe ground, but Hot and Cold is going to perfectly nade him out of position. And with that Space Station, their numbers advantage has been furthered to 5 versus 3, but Forest drops straight into a frost mat. I don't think he's going to be able to pick himself up as Fisho Guy holds off on the site. It's just him and Brendo remaining, but Brendo's good for 1. Can he be good for a second? J9O comes in, and now Fisho Guy must clutch once again against his opponent from a year and a half ago. J9O knows exactly where Fisho is, but Fisho Guy wins it. Forrest has picked himself up from the frost mat, and he cannot sprint. He cannot move. He must slowly but surely slug his way towards Fisho, who clutches against both of the players that defeated him in Charlotte a year and a half ago.
Oh, cool, calm, and collected is the ideal of Team Bliss in the 2 versus 1. And poor Forrest, so sluggish in the final 30 seconds, couldn't quite land the engagement. And Team Bliss there to take a second round onto Gym and Bedroom. I really liked what call they made to actually then go and fall off into the bomb site. I actually really enjoyed what Space Station were doing there to pick apart the defense one by one by one, but unfortunately just leaving it a little bit too late. By the time that they hit the bomb site, they didn't quite have the redundancy in time that they needed to actually get their way in and feel comfortable taking those gunfights, scrambling a little bit in the bomb site, and then trying to get the bomb down because, well, there was only about 20 seconds left when they decided to finally go for it.
Well, that's the funny thing, right? Spacestation was so thorough in that early round,
It was so cool.
It netted massive results.
Yeah.
But then you have to continue that pace, that consistency throughout the round, right? They spent so much time clearing wettables. Amazing. Didn't lose a player, didn't lose a lick of HP. They clear Sage beautifully from below. 5v3, you don't lose those unless you let that time slip away and you fall into frost mats and you jump straight into Windows headlong, not realizing that there's a mute on the other side. And these kinds of mistakes will cost Spacestation rounds where they are favored.
I really did like the approach that they took into that into that last round that we just saw play. I feel like the macro decision making from Spacestation is sound. I don't think we can fault them there at all, but it's just the execution as it goes down into the last final seconds where they're really tested by the defense, and that's just the nature of Rainbow Six Siege. Regardless, we're going to go back down into the basement bomb site for Team Bliss. Now the bomb site have been unlocked, and here goes Hot and Cold once again early on the entry. Boots already in the building, and the buff can tear up the floor.
Yeah, that's nice to see. Ooh, Oda was actually very close. I think that player, the Dokkaebi, was actually, just on the other side of that barricade. It's Ashen here. Really, the tip of the spear has not been the rookie of Ashen. It's been Hot and Cold every round. He's 6-2 at the moment. He has been fantastic at opening up the equation with these early engagements, taking down these roamers. But as you kind of described in the end of that last round, Bliss are actually not over contesting here. They've completely fallen back to site.
Yeah, no, not at all. They're once again leaning into the anchor hold here for this bomb site. They switched out the position of the Fenrir, though. It's no longer on Fisher Guy. Fisher Guy's decided, we need smoke. I'm going to construct the bomb site. Sage, you take it instead. And they've actually brought along the same passive intel level that they had before. 3 sets of barbed wire. I think that's the thing that I want to point out here for the defense of Team Bliss. Once the execute of Spacestation does come through, if they fall to the same thing of like taking too much time, planning too long, they are going to fall to this passive intel, right? Because the moment that they try and go for that execute, Team Bliss are going to know what's going on.
I actually think the barbed wire is an even better pick than the Legion that we saw last round. That barbed wire is really going to guarantee that these players must slow down or clear the utility beforehand, which is a lot easier said than done when you look at the explosives on the lineup. But Hot and Cold, Mr. Consistent, takes down Sage, who has been a very pivotal player for Bliss here, the one you want to take down, there's no doubt about it. And Hot and Cold is simply on a tear. A minute left, and there's been so much good progress here for Spacestation.
Oh, and they've really opened up all their options here as well. Both the kitchen hatch open and the triple wall. Team Bliss need to have a really long think about how they're going to position themselves for the 2 eventualities that could come out here from Spacestation. 50 seconds left to go. Oda on the other side of the spot main stairs, but it's actually Blue. That's going to be the point of contest.
Oh, Fish finds 1. Oda's taken down. Fish finds 2. Looking for a third. Numbers even once again. Faults with the diffuser in pocket. Bottom main stairs. J9O cannot march forward without revealing his position in the barbed wire above. Hot and Cold still alive. The most dangerous player in the server right now. J9O walks straight through the barb. He has been spotted, but he gets the better of Brendo. Low HP now for J9O. Fisho with the snipe. Hot and Cold's taken down as well as the rookie finds his first. Faults with a double. The clutch for Spacestation on home soil. They are dominating here. 3-1 in advantage. Or rather 2-2. I forgot about that clutch. Damn! Spacestation are doing not too bad here.
That was a solid execute there from Spacestation. They identified the point of least resistance as they went in. Like you pointed out, J9O was really kept at bay at Blue there. He really couldn't walk forward. But you know who could walk forward? Faults. There was nothing at the bottom of that kitchen hatch drop once he followed in after his teammate to then actually claim that 2K for himself. They just went, okay, look, we're kind of locked out in a lot of positions. You know, we can't go there without revealing themselves. So instead what they did was they put a lot of redundancy in the areas that they could then entry. Triple wall, for example. Kitchen hatch drop, the other example of what that push was going for, right? They went, okay, this is the point that we can walk in, and so let's do it together. And I really liked that take from SSG. And yes, it was a very close and back and forth round came in through the execute. Fish Guy put in the hard yards for that one, but it didn't come to fruition. Faults with the 2K. Close that one out really nicely.
This has been back and forth, right? Like you think about how round 2, SSG, they won a 2 versus 4 on Cash. And then the next round, Bliss win their unfavored position 3v5 on Gym and Bedroom with the clutch from Fisher Guy. Fisher Guy is called upon to clutch again in that round just prior, and instead, Faults gets the better of him. So these rounds are really by a hair's breadth. A very narrow margin every single time. And despite one team finding an advantage in the early round, it certainly does not guarantee a result at the end of it.
It's so exciting to watch. It really is. Like, you think that it's all chaotic and it's crazy and stuff like that in these mid rounds, but there is a science behind that chaos, and I think that's what makes this game so beautiful to watch. Here goes SSG on another approach in towards the building. The bomb site of choice is going to be back in Cash and CCTV, I believe. I don't know. I can't read. I'm terrible at reading bomb sites these days. And it does look like, once again, Bliss are leaning into that setup inside of Rafters, aided by the Izami. But here goes Forest initially on that clear of the Kennels wall. Just got to take his time to get the finesse of Maverick done. Can be a bit tricky sometimes.
Yeah, slow and sure, especially with how Bliss have been pretty keen on getting aggressive about these things. I think you definitely want to go and make sure that you do things thoroughly. Actually going to make a little line of sight as well. That's very cheeky. I'm not sure what the idea is now for Space Station, that they've got this breach open. They will need the Zafir of J90 to come over and open up the soft portion of the wall. Okay, he's actually all the way out. He's playing a very long line of sight with this M762.
I think it's fair enough. Remember last time that one of the Space Station players were on the rappel on this, the double Sage Brothers like swung on that exact player and they instantly took him down. So J90 was like, nah, I'm not having any of that. I'm sitting way far back. Meanwhile, the rest of Space Station have worked the other side of the map and they're actually going in for the sweep in through Master. With the ace in the hands of Faults, they are probably going to be able to open up the con side wall. But look on the side of Team Bliss, 3 sets of impacts. I don't think all 3 of those players are in a position to impact Tricket, but it's going to be kind of tough to play the minigame with the Selmas.
Well, Fisher Guy definitely is in position to do so. He has to be careful not to expose himself to Ashen, who's found some very nice lines of sight from the window outside. Here comes the first impact. And the Selma dispatched with handily. A great start here for Chiefs of Bliss and Space Station. Must figure out how they're going to deal with that problem. Oh, hot and cold down below. He looks for a nice nade, but Oda's read it perfectly. A C4 won't do anything, but hang on a second. Ashen's in bar. He has been taken down. Oda now looking for the second, but he is being hunted by 3 directions, and Forrest will claim his life.
Oh, but it's about to come through onto the bomb site. That's going to be the next point of focus here for Space Station with only 25 seconds left to go and ticking away. That con wall will not be open, so they need to find their options elsewhere. There is info inside a garage, but can they capitalize on it with only 19 seconds left to go?
Jano's got the info here. The player at Bot Garage has no clue. Sajon, you got to be careful. Venables has no idea. Jano finds the opening. Brendo goes down, and Sajon also taken out. Space Station collapse in the 4v4 in the dying moments. It is not their death, but Bliss's.
Bliss just looking away at the wrong time. They couldn't have come in through the con side with that breach open. The only way they could have come in was through the door, but too many players getting focused in on that crazy stuff that was happening down in stock. Oda was just there trying to protect Fisher Guy, man. Oda was not expecting the onslaught of all the rest of SSG to come in and on through, and somehow off the back of finding all those picks in the ground floor, they were able to translate that into a round win just off the back of killing every single Team Bliss player. The bomb, the diffuser didn't even get inside of the bomb site.
Yeah, I got to say, this is just the consistent story of Space Station for me in the 2 games that I've seen from them this major. They do not give up, even when their chances of winning a round look grim. 4v4 attacking CCTV with no garage control, with no breach on the construction wall. That's not a good look. You're not likely to win that round. And yet they made it work, because they kept on pushing, they kept on looking for an opportunity. They're using their drones in the very late round. For example, in Garage, they saw, hey, Sage is completely distracted looking the other way. The guy at the top of Rafters as well, he's got no clue. Let me just push in. And Forrest found a double from that position. Space Station now find themselves on the verge of closing their attack half in the advantage. And that means that Bliss, the stakes are high here. They need to tie up the half.
The danger of Space Station is that they are such an adaptable team. It doesn't matter what situation they are given, they will find a way to make it work because someone will constantly be thinking about plan B. And that is the beauty of Space Station, especially when you've got players like Faults moving away from that entry frag into the support position. He's got all these ideas like ringing through his head throughout the entire round that are not the main idea. And when he's called upon, he can play that.
Well, for the first time this game, Hot and Cold is the first body to fall. And ironically, there was information for Space Station on Oda's position. A lot of good pre-play strong. It's a rush. Oh, hang on a second. In goes the Blitz straight into the Frost mat. Fisher Guy found a double with the Nitro. Ashen is left all alone. He's got everything to do, but he finds the first 2. 3 players left to find for Space Station. Heroics from Fisher Guy. This guy is out for revenge.
Oh, the youngest player on the roster of Ashen's got a lot to do, and the diffuser is stuck outside of the jacuzzi breach. Fisho, he's got a mirror that faces it. Ashen's going to make this attempt at it anyway, sweeping in across from the cash side. But really, Fisho guy, man, what a nut C4 that was to toss out.
Yeah, perfectly timed. Damn, Fisho guy's really turned it up, man. You and I were talking. He was not as on form yesterday as his teammates, and today the story has flipped. He has been perfect. 3 players now alive, but as we've said, never count SSG out. Ashen will not give up. He will not sit and take an impromptu tactical. He will move in, and he is immediately taken down by the man of the hour himself. Double digits for the Fish.
4K in the round for Fisher guy. What a massive round from him. They tried to go in for the jacuzzi rush, but not too well planned out when you've got a shotgun and a C4 on the other side to meet you. And Fisher guy, totally ready for that. He gets his 4K and he's like,
look at his face. He does not care. He is
does
cool,
not care.
calm and collected. Bliss are looking at their monitors with a renewed intensity after tying up the half. 3-3 on defense. It's perhaps a little bit less than some teams would be after on Clubhouse, but Mandy, I admit, after seeing Bliss's attack comeback on Wolves yesterday, 4 attacks in a row, I would not be surprised if they can keep pace even in the second half.
Clubhouse is a different beast though. Chalet, when you think about the attacks that Bliss were able to do, they exploited the map against Wolves. And Wolves were being kept accountable by the map, and Bliss knew that, and that's what they did. And that was what the base of their strategies were. Clubhouse, completely different beast of attack. You need to work the map rather than exploit the map, I think is the phrase that I would give to it. And that's where Team Bliss are really going to be tested in their pacing. Can they make the motions happen early enough through the rounds to then actually set themselves up for the execute? Space Station, there are a couple rounds they fell short to that, and that's just Clubhouse. There are other times Space Station, they somehow, even though losing the win conditions of the mid-round, were still able to translate it, and Team Bliss need to do the same thing.
A very apt point. Bliss yesterday exploited the fact not only that they were playing Chalet in the nature of the map, but also Wolves' nature. I was speaking to Mowgli, and he said, Bliss weren't good. We were just running at them, and they were just holding angles. If we just play patient, they won't have anything. Fighting words for a guy in the lower bracket, I know. But Bliss now, we'll see if they can prove a point and do a little bit better on their attack.
Interesting set of pre-placed drones being held by Fisher Guy and Oda to try and enable some of these players to get in on through the map. The entire map has been forfeited by Space Station. They are simply leaning into the bomb site itself, and that's going to enable Sage here on the vertical to be able to start to wreak havoc on the floor below. Maybe I saw wrong. Is there a player in Strip Club?
Yeah, there is. He's
there
actually
is a player in Strip Club.
Yeah, Forrest is very aggressive here in Strip, and I think Oda knows about it because he's continually flicking this camera that he's got in the hallway. And he knows that the player has not left, but he also doesn't want to push it. This is the thing we were saying about Bliss, right? They're happy to just wait and be patient, but the danger here is that time is ticking.
Well, I think the thing is, at some point, Forrest has to move. And Oda knows that. And so Oda is just going to sit here on his drone, having a think, and then the moment that Forrest does move, Oda's going to move as well. And so they've got one player keeping him at bay. Now, the problem with keeping one player keeping another player at bay is that through this mid-rounds, there is a lot less work that can be done by the attack, but here we go. Forrest finally makes his move, and Bliss follow through with it.
Yeah, but are they going to keep hunting him? You really cannot hunt forever. You can see Forrest is more than happy to just trap himself on the other side of the map. Bliss really need to ignore this. They need to make progress on the site. There's no way that they are going to have time to do with this and then execute onto the site. Oda is going to spray through the soft wall. Forrest is a dead man walking. Can he take a player with him? Let's find out. Sage is the perfect operator to deal with this castle barricade. But look at the clock. 5v5, 50 seconds left. Forrest, if he's able to claim one, that surely is the round. Sage deals with him. But Forrest can be satisfied. He has done his job.
Yeah, Forrest has done the Lord's work here. 38 seconds left. They haven't drawn out the bomb site because they've just spent a whole minute trying to clear out Forrest inside of Strip Club. And look at the setup that's gone down inside the bomb site. Triple wall open. It's really hard to funnel down main stairs. The main point of contest that they want to put here is on the blue side push, but there's a mirror facing them as well. There's so much that Team Bliss have got to deal with and not a lot of time to do it.
So much to do in so little time. Let's see if Bliss can execute like SSG could. Fisho guy sent to the Shadow Realm. He can't find that Dread Mine. Fultz opens the equation. Numbers are even. J90 with a double. But it's not over yet until Fisho guy's on the floor, which appears to be immediately. Sagen with 3 to find. But these Fenrir gadgets have not been cleared. and Bliss will have to forfeit the round. Space Station start perfectly, and Forrest is extremely satisfied with that.
Mate, the team is happy about that. Well, look at Forrest. Forrest is having like the time of his life. He's like, yeah, I died, but look at you, silly Billy. You got cooked on the bomb site immediately afterwards. He is absolutely having a cackle about that one because he did his job. His job was not to survive and to fall off, but to die. To die valiantly. And he did that to perfection. He wasted a whole minute on the clock through the mid-round, and Bliss went, oh damn, there's a whole bomb site left to go. That is not so cool.
It's really smart from Space Station. I think that they identified, I don't know whether it's a read from in the game, I don't know if it's pure instinct or whether it's counter-analysis from watching the Wolves game yesterday, but Space Station said, look, Bliss have been tested if they can deal with aggression. Can they deal with decision-making? Making the hard decision of, do we go and hunt Forests, or do we leave him to his own devices and focus on the site and watch for his flank? And Bliss failed that exam. But it's only the first round of attack.
Well, let's hope that they can pick one back up in this next one. It is over in CCTV and pouch, which does play out a little more simply for the attack. The bomb site is exposed, of course, to the exterior of the map. A lot of your points of entry are significantly closer in towards the bomb site in comparison to that basement bomb site. And I think that Team Bliss will find a little more comfort having gone over to the secondary bomb site.
Quite a heavy roam as well. I think I only spot one player on the bomb site, two if you count Ashen, who's not far off. Hot and Cold's playing this rafters position, yeah. A very early roam. Fault's also on a very, very ambitious one all the way in the basement, likely with information from these Valkyrie cameras to support him. I
mean, you might have a good read on it, right? Oda's on the Nook. He's playing that lurking role, and that is going to distract Faults, right? Faults is not going to be with the main defense of Space Station because he's going to be looking for that lurker player of Oda. I have no idea what info Oda has got to aid his entry that's going on, but I can only imagine he's having a big, long think about the safe point that it is to get in.
This Maverick's been very slow and steady. They were looking for an early pick on it. Wedables has missed a bit on the top right. Hopefully he finds that. Be a bit of a rookie mistake if he struggles to get this wall open. And as you said, Faults, okay, he's been spotted now, and he's going to use his C4 very early, so no late round plant denial, but he does have an escape route.
Yeah, he's certainly got his way out, but Oda thinks the better of it and decides to rendezvous with the rest of his team over on the other side of the map instead. He's now claimed bottom stage control, and that's going to be necessary later on through the round for Fisher Guy if he wants to safely get his way on in and then start to work the con wall. Now, the danger here for Space Station, or for Bliss rather, is that Space Station have actually opened up the con wall itself. It is a line of sight. It's not going to be safe to breach for Team Bliss, and therefore also not a safe entry either.
Yeah, damn. This is really Space Station having a perfect read onto Bliss, in my opinion. But that said, Oda watches the flank and finds Faults. This is the perfect start. But we saw what happened last round when Bliss find the first kill with only a minute remaining. Forrest is going for another one. J90 finds Oda. Where was he? There's actually two players on this roam. Bliss need to identify that the side is weak and they must hit it now.
Yeah, they need to go for it. That's exactly right. It's a 2-on-4 on the bomb site. If they go for it, it's going to be Brendo on the breach, who can surely make a play from out here, right? But Sage is going to go in through the belly of the beast.
Oh, no, what?
There he goes. Brendo in with a knife onto Ashton and top right. He's going to go for more.
Oh, and he finds one on the flank. But Hot and Cold has staved off defeat on the bomb site. He is now the last man standing. He makes it a 1v1. The MVP for America up against Sagen, but Mitch doesn't lose those. Bliss have once again tied up the score.
Really nice stuff there from Team Bliss. They identified really quickly there are two on the flank. What's going on? We have to hit the bomb site. And the player that was in the playmaking position was Brendo on the breach. Like, sure, he was in an unwinnable gunfight. Well, a less favorable position. Yes, he had to take the 2 versus 1 on the player on the rafters and the player onto red. But by the time the rest of Team Bliss realized and they jumped their way on into con, they distracted at least one of those players. And Brendo sprinted in, Ash made no brain or whatever they call it, and knifed someone in the back to open it all up. That was a great call from Bliss through the mid-round.
I gotta say, it's very quick thinking to be able to knife an opponent like that. Yeah, like, you're going up against a shotgun. Both of you probably, like, you know, shut your pants for a second and just quickly hit that knife button. You're very lucky it landed.
Oh, man, Brendo. He's going to have a laugh about that one afterwards. That was a good round. But here goes Space Station. They decided to throw a curveball at Bliss, and they're going to go over to Bar and Stage as their next bomb site of choice in through round 9. And it does look like they are going to translate their defense upstairs, aided by that mirror of Forest. Does look something a little bit similar to what your typical gym and bedroom defense would look like.
attackers are heading out to
And that
defuse
means
the bomb.
Bliss have a lot of decisions to make, which has proven to be the challenge. Fortunately, they were able to make the split-second decision at the end of the last round to, hey, there's 2 players off site, let's rush the bomb. But this time they've got to decide, okay, how do we clear the top floor? How much do we clear? And at that point, where will we plant? How do we execute? How will we prevent the retake? And there's so much information gathering. Have a look at this, Mandy. Valkyrie and Echo on the board.
Oh, a lot of info gathering, like you pointed out, for Space Station. And that does mean that, like you said, if Team Bliss leave it too late, well, Space Station are going to know exactly what they're going for off the back of all that information. Brendo on the other side of this is going to look for his sweep across the map as Wettables puts this immediate pressure over onto the Jacuzzi side of the map. But of course, he's going to be met by the mirror winner of Forest on the other side, who's keeping a pretty keen eye on the entry.
There's no ace, no Hibana, so it's actually not going to be that easy to clear that mirror window. However, there are a set of smokes on Fish, so options are available.
Well, I think the idea here for Team Bliss with the lineup is that they don't necessarily need to sweep the map if they don't have to. If they can just make sure that there are no players on this con hatch, which Ashen is currently there, then they should be able to go for a safe plan on the stage if they can. And that's what the strength of the Nomad is of Brendo. If Brendo can land an air jab to lock out any players from coming back in through con, then the rest of Team Bliss are going to feel pretty safe.
Oda spotted for a brief moment that Valkyrie roaming down in the basement. And on top of that, we also saw previously one of the Yokai drones found and destroyed inside a cache. So Bliss have made quite good headway in this mid-round, but they have lost the opening pick. Hot and Cold, he's going for quite a jog. He almost finds a second kill, but a little bit too ambitious as Fisho shuts him down.
Fisher guy's like, whoa, where'd you come from? And he does a 180 flick and he manages to turn around and get him. But now that stock control has been given to Bliss, it's about making the conversion right for them. Yes, they could in this position potentially go for a flank, but there's so much info on them, like you pointed out earlier. Not just that, but because con control is still in the hands of Space Station, they cannot go for the plant because the win conditions are not done. If the hatch is still being looked at, which is exactly what Ashen is doing, there's no way they can make an entry into the bomb site. They need to send someone upstairs if they want to go for this plan.
2 logic bombs remain for Fish. He's going to have to use them. He's opening up a plant spot, but that will be vulnerable to Ashen from above. They need to deal with this Wamai. Someone is watching from far away, and that somebody is Brendo. He manages to find the first, but not before the trade comes through from Forest. Who will watch as Forest and Janano hunt from above, looking for the player? Oda finds them both! Wettables to close, and Bliss, for the first time, have taken the lead.
And on bar stage as well, such a finicky bomb site to sometimes dissect and pick apart. There was so much info there for Space Station. Their push was completely telegraphed, but Bliss executed their plan so well. I actually really liked what Space Station did, knowing that the conditions for them to retake was actually to kill Brendo on the roof, and they sent like 2 people to try and jump out on him and do that. That was such a back and forth round. That was so cool to watch both Space Station and Bliss seeing if they could get a step ahead of the game, but some really sharp shooting from Oda. He realized as soon as Brendo died, oh damn, Fisher guy ain't safe anymore. I gotta look up that hatch and shoot them. And he did that to perfection.
The thing is, Oda misses either of those kills, round's over.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was gonna say. If Oda just doesn't shoot them down, Fisher guy's dead. Like, what can you do? I did like what Fisher guy did with bringing along the Dokkaebi though, right? Because you're on the Dokkaebi call, you can't get on the Yokai drones immediately. And that's when they executed, and that's when they went in for their plants. And I just think that Bliss had really thought a step ahead there in the execute, even though Space Station were on the ball with it.
Yeah. Especially with the buff to Dokkaebi, that dead players will also be distracted by the call. They can't spectate cameras, right? Because there was so much good info gathering with the Valkyrie. There was a Valkyrie camera in lounge that was never spotted by the attack. And that essentially read the entire push for Space Station. They could have won that. They had almost the perfect read, but the cover from Brendo and Oda was too good. Now we are just quickly doing a technical timeout, rather. I judge by what we were looking at on the players that there's something wrong with one of the Bliss PCs, but they're sorting that out. As you can see, the admins ensure that none of the players talk during these technical timeouts. So this is not like a pseudo-tactical timeout. This is chill zone. This is a test of how...
The chill
zone. Can you keep your cool when you just have to simmer and sit in a round like that? Space Station are 2 rounds away from being sent to the lower bracket. They're the ones who have to get on their bike.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Spacestation as well on their defending half. Now, as I understand it, I could be wrong here. Oh, no, we have a second monitor I can see. They are going to go down to Church and Arsenal. It has been unlocked for them again. Sorry.
Oh, no, you can spoil that. You can spoil that.
Yes, spoilers, they are going back down to the basement. That was a pretty notoriously difficult bomb site to attack, I think, for both teams.
Well, it was the round where Forest went for that massive Roman strip and just baited Bliss.
Yeah, exactly. And I can only imagine that Forest probably won't do the same thing again. You know, that's something that you bring out once, but then second time come around, surely Bliss are going to be on the ball with it. You don't want to do it twice, right? So instead, Space Station are going to want to lean into just playing the bomb site. Of course, with the absence of the Thatcher, it can make it quite tough to open up. Actually, it's not that tough to open up all the hatches because Cade's banned as well anyway. But it does mean that, you know, you probably don't really want to lean into that extended roam. You know, you don't have Solus, that kind of thing. The bomb site itself is already pretty tricky to get into when both his army and Mirror are up. So I can only imagine that Space Station will feel pretty comfortable going back into that bomb site and hopefully evening up this scoreline.
Yeah, it's funny when you think about it. Of course, we were comparing Chalet, which Bliss played yesterday, and Clubhouse, which we're seeing today. Very different maps. Chalet much more attacker-sided, and the result of that game was incredibly attacker-sided. Here, Clubhouse can be a lot more even and often skewed towards the defense. But I think with that Solus banned out, like you said, the Habana's in, the Qaeda's banned out, it actually lends itself a lot more to the attack, because how do you roam when there's no Solus and we have all these amazing pre-placed cameras? How do you play heavy wall denial and hatch denial when that Qaeda's banned and the Habana is in?
Secretly, I know this is probably not too secret, but I secretly want to see Bliss like bring a lot of hard breach, you know, like bring along stuff that's gonna like really cut down on the bomb site and actually take the time to do it, because if they don't have Forest going and loitering around inside a strip club, right, and like doing silly business, surely through that mid round they can spend a lot of time like taking down stuff, right?
Well, that reminds me a lot of what we saw on Space Station's attack. Do you remember when we saw the church wall completely opened up by Ace? On top of that, they've got all the hatches, they've got hot and cold on the buck mincing up the floor. The idea, I think, can work really well for Bliss's playstyle, because Bliss did that sit and wait kind of playstyle yesterday against Wolves. If you open up all of the walls and the hatches, you can just afford to sit and wait, assuming you've got the time to do so, because players are usually going to have to expose themselves to those lines of sight.
Well, to add another layer of overthinky, as we like to do.
We love it. We got a technical timeout. You have a license to overthink right now.
Overthinky time. Yeah, to add another layer of overthinky, even if you bring along the like extra ranged hard breach to take down like your mirrors and open up all the walls and stuff, you then need to like unbox the next layer of the onion, and that's Mirror and a zombie, you know, a zombie in particular.
As well.
Fenrir. That's like, even if you open up all the walls and you have a look inside of the bomb site, the inside of the bomb site has another layer. There's another layer of hard wall that you cannot shoot through anymore, right?
They've switched the bomb site.
Curveball at us.
They're going
to gym and bedroom instead, and I don't know why.
I think this is a good idea, Mandy, because I mean, look, I like the idea that you had said about the layers of the onion, if you will, but Bliss would have had all of this time thinking about ideas to attack that. Of course, they couldn't be discussing it in that technical timeout, but you can still think. They can't stop you from thinking. They can never stop your ideas. And Bliss have now thrown a curveball by going to their 4th different bomb site. They're taking us around the world. After losing on Cash and losing on Bar, they're going to try Gym as the final bomb site.
Interesting. I don't mind this from Space Station. Throw a curveball at Bliss, but test their problem solving even more, because Space Station probably one of the teams with the upper hand in adaptability here in this tournament. And I really think that, you know, at any second, Space Station can come online with a brand new idea and a bright one and take that down. I think Gym and Bedroom gives a lot of flexibility for them to do so.
I think it's a good read. Bliss will have to deliver. I'm always going to keep a keen eye on these rookies as well. This is Weddable's first ever LAN event. The same thing can be said for Ashen, but they do have quite fairly different stories. Ashen, fresh 18-year-old, the youngest player at the tournament. He has not been playing in competitive Siege for a very long time, not at this level at least, whereas Weddables has been on mid-tier Australian teams for a very long time. He's 23 years of age. He's actually older than Brendo and Oda, his teammates. And he plays a supportive role, as we can see on this Thermite. Now, you mentioned a lot of hard breach. We have both the Thermite and the Ace.
Interesting. Well, you need the Ace, right? As soon as you open up this wall with the Thermite, you can't really put a Thermite charge on the mirror window that is behind it. That's what Forest is doing at the moment. So you got to get the Selma on. He's going to try and chuck out this Nitro Cell, but just miss. He's going to collect it back. Oh, he's actually going to jump through the rotate hole. What's going on? Weddable's just having a watch of that, and Forest goes down. I
mean, did you not watch the Wolves games yesterday? You don't want to be making aggressive plays against Bliss. They love to sit and wait. And now they have the advantage early on in the rounds. And if they win this, they will take match point. Ashen, though, he does reply, and he's taken down the final hard breacher. He's retaken this mirror position, and he has a lot of options. The flashbang, Wettables goes in for it, rookie on rookie, and Wettables finds it. J90 and Hot and Cold with it all to do as Bliss collapsed on the bomb site with over a minute to go.
Hotten's in a good spot, especially with the Azami as well. He can now plug up that angle going out into the balcony, and Wettables is going to be taken down by J90. Hot and Cold now in a really tricky position to dislodge as well, aided by the Kiba barriers to get behind the mattress. Meanwhile, Brendo is going to find a bit of a tussle with J90 inside of logistics. He's got a mirror window of his own. These two last defenders are going to be really hard for the remaining players of Team Bliss to dislodge.
J90 evened up the numbers advantage, and overall I'd say the advantage sits with SSG. Brendo is now droned out. This mirror is clear. Hot and Cold lucky to survive. He's retaken this position. He's so close to exposing himself to that window, but he knows he has Diffuser in his clutches. And that means he must be hunted. Bliss goes in, Brendo a sharp shot, but the trade. Oda must now find this final kill. The player peeking, Hot and Cold secures the kill onto Brendo. No more information to gather. Hot and Cold, no Diffuser in his clutches, but the same can be said for Oda. And Hot and Cold is falling on back 15 seconds. Oda has options, and he decides to plant. Is there information for Hot and Cold? The Valkyrie is on the board. It is faked, and Hot and Cold knows it, so he falls on back. Oda cannot find this kill. Hot and Cold will continue to run, and Oda will force this plant down. 7 seconds is a hell of a long time when Hot and Cold is looking for you. He whiffs it a little bit, but he secures the kill in the end. A massive clutch for the veteran, and Space Station have put us on break points.
Oh, so well played from Hot and Cold there in a 1 versus 2. He baited out that second plant to come down. He came back up running through the stairs, and Oda was like, oh no. And then Hot and Cold runs all the way back down the stairs, completely out of sight, in through the bomb site. He just absolutely ran circles around him in the 1 versus 1. And that was just so well played in those final seconds of the round. Bliss, they almost converted that one. They almost had their opportunity to jump on in, but the moment that J90 made his play to make the numbers advantage even, that was it. That was it for Space Station. They knew exactly what they had to do in their power positions, and Hot and Cold closed that one out really nicely.
Hot and Cold's having a tear at the moment. 13 kills. Fisher guy's pretty close to him, but unfortunately, as you can see, he disconnected and reconnected, so he's only got one death and no kills to his name. I think Brendo must have reconnected as well. There's no way he's got 1 death and 2 kills in the 10 rounds that we've seen so far. So not a complete scoreboard, but a picture is painted here. Nonetheless, this has been a tight game, determined by these narrow moments, by the 2v4 from Space Station in the first half, by the 3v5 from Bliss immediately following that, by the clutches we've seen from Sage, from Fisho, and now from Hot and Cold.
I gotta say, Hotten and J90 is probably one of my favorite dynamic duos in general, I think, in the game at the moment. Just J90 has this magic ability to be in the right place at the right time and doing the right thing all the time. He's that player that plays like liquid. He just does what the team needs to happen inside of the server. Hot and Cold is the polar opposite. He's the player that, you know, is doing things that are not necessarily evil. They're not mission critical, right? That's what J90 does. But because he has a player that's already doing that, he's then enabled to do that. And when you have that like deadly duo like that, you open up so many options in the decision tree, both on the attack and the defense, because you have a player like J90 just doing the right things and enabling his team.
It's amazing to me that as the 3rd longest pro player in this event, Hot and Cold, he's been playing professionally for 7.5 years. He's played at 11 international finals. He has still got the fire to perform like this. We often talk in Rainbow Six about out with the old, in with the new. The rookies are usually the fiery players, and the old guard move on to more supportive and coaching roles. Hot and Cold says, heck that, I'm going to do it all.
Heck that.
I was going to say something else, but I didn't want to lose my job.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. You got to be PG. Okay, here we go. Forest is actually choosing to bring out the Bandits, which I don't think is going to work too well against this lineup of Team Bliss. It does look like they are leaning into the Maverick trick instead of Wettables. And Forest, you've got to get out of there soon, mate, because the floor below you is about to be opened up.
Oh no!
Brendo with the rappel angle is going to take down Hot and Cold, the man of the hour we were just speaking about inside of Rafters.
Does he know? Because this now must turn into Saving Private Hot and Cold for Space Station. You cannot afford to lose your Wamai on Rafters this early on a CCTV Defense. This is such a pivotal power position, but Space Station are not over-aggressing. They're so concerned. They've got some information from Ashen, and I believe... Yeah, Forrest is going to peek this. Will he find the kill? The concussion. Bliss have read it perfectly. They're doing everything they can to continue talking up the pressure on Space Station.
Oh, Team Bliss, they still want to be in the dialogue with the score advantage taken away from them 5-5. Now trying to amount through this mid-round. What is the best point of entry that they can get? And that's probably going to be inside the garage. Sage has been posturing outside of the garage wall for a while now, waiting for his teammates to come on around. And the drones are going to be sent in now to ensure a safe point of entry.
Oh no!
It's not safe at all.
What was that? A long shot from Fultz. Elsewhere, though, Brendo has found the opening kill. I believe that was just hot and cold, bleeding out finally. But it has been evened up. Now, Bliss have a massive avenue of attack with clearing Garage so freely, but they couldn't do it with a lot of time remaining as Hot and Cold was not able to be secured. Now, complete forfeit of map control from Space Station on both sides of the map. They will fortify their position here on site.
It is going to be a garage take here from Team Bliss, as it seems like they have been forfeited all this control for free. Not for free now, but off the back of Brendo collecting that entry kill. Not just that, but the wall has been opened up for them as well. Line of sight through the vertical could mean that Sage is in a bit of danger, but Forrest looks away. Oh, Forrest, terrible timing for him. So unfortunate, but it does mean that Sage gets away with his life for now and is going to have his line of sight trained on this angle.
Sage knows this could go either direction. And this nade could be perfect. Let him cook. Doesn't find a thing, but the C4 sinks on Fish. 10 seconds left for Bliss to pick it back up again. As a nade sails over, Sage finds Fultz eventually, but Forrest is in the perfect position to make the play. Brendo shuts him on down again. Ashen cannot deny the diffuser, and now he must deny the match point. Wettables finds one, the trade through eventually. Brendo to hold in the post plant. With Ashen plenty of time remaining, he uses the yokai, and now he snakes into this position. Brendo.
Oh no, Brendo.
You can't be affording Ashen the opportunity to clutch. He's going to be able to stick it. Space Station. Match point. Ashen with balls of steel. 18 years old, but he does not give up. And he's put Space Station a hair's breadth away from the Swiss phase.
Pros don't fake. That's what they say. And off the back of the info from the yokai drone, his teammates watching keenly as he went for the defuse. He knew he was in complete safety. Unfortunately, the breach just not quite open enough for Brendo to actually be able to go in for the post plant. He had to be on the balcony, but even if he was on the balcony, that would have then enabled Ashen to actually take the 1v1 off the back of the yokais. Really nice micro from him to actually go and reposition one of them. Now, whether that was a call of his own or one of his teammates calling from the grave for him to do that off the back of that experience, just a great idea from SSG to push them in through the match point.
And that's what, the fourth 1v1 in this game so far, Mandy? Space Station again winning from an opening deficit. This match is not about, oh, who's got the overall better strategy. No, it's about who can drag it over the line. Bloodied, battered, but desperate to not give up this first place in their group. Space Station and Bliss will never die without a fight. And now Bliss stare down match point against them. If they lose this round, down it is to the lower bracket, where a hungry set of wolves wait to meet them, desperate for revenge.
And the danger of this round is that we are going to see Space Station go back down to the basement bomb site, a site that has been pretty tricky for Team Bliss to attack so far. But here goes Oda on his early stint off the back of a pre-placed drone inside a bathroom, knowing that there is no one in Strip Club. And it in fact has been completely barricaded off. So opening up this barricade will telegraph his position to Ashen, but Ashen is really the only point of contest here for Space Station.
Oda knows it. Bliss are very slow once again. Do not want to secede an early advantage, and Ashen is able to take down that drone. Have a look, 4 drones left, Mandy, for Bliss. That is not many when you got over 2 minutes left in the round and there's so much util to clear on site. I would say in the first minute, Space Station have won this phase of the round.
I think I would say that as well. Like, yes, they've given up a lot of the map, but the amount of stuff that they're bringing in through the mid to late round is going to be pretty dangerous for Team Bliss. Like, yes, Sage is going to be able to play the vertical here on the sledge, but he probably has to worry about Forrest on the other side ripping a C4 at him. Same thing with J90 with a C4 of his own as well. The Team Bliss have got a lot of motions to go through if they want to land a basement execute.
This is a slow attack from Bliss, even bringing the Maverick when there's no Kaid on the board. And any other hard breacher would have done a faster job, but fortunately, Wedables knows how to very efficiently deal with that hatch. Dano waits with the C4, listening for the footsteps. There's no Valkyrie this round, but he's still got ears.
This is so dangerous. There's a double C4. Both of them trained on the position of Sage at the moment in through the vertical. He has to be so cautious about it. You can see he's standing purely on the hard ground, looking in through the hallway. But by doing that, it doesn't mean that you can then go and clear out the back of Arsenal. That is still going to remain a safe haven for the defense.
Time is ticking, Mandy. This is not a good look for Bliss. We've seen this story before far too many times. Too little and too late. 5v5 still in the server, however. We need to see blood drawn for Bliss shortly. Otherwise, Space Station will likely take the round.
It does look like they are posturing now for a vision hatch shot. They've got 40 seconds left to do it, so it's going to be a measure twice, cut once type approach going into the bomb site. Still 3 smoke babes up for faults as well, so getting that plant down in a safe spot is going to be really tough for Team Bliss. It's go time, it's now or it's never, and J90 will kick it off.
A fantastic opener for Space Station, but they don't need to make a move. Brendo finds one, Fisher a second. And Bliss have the advantage now, but 20 seconds time is not on their side. Another nade. Oh, is this what they needed? Is this what they deserve? Hot and cold in a 1v4, cannot even find the first. Wedables puts him in the dirt. Overtime is on the cards for the second time in Bliss's tenure. We go to OT here in Atlanta.
And a textbook execute there for Team Bliss going down into the basement. They knew that they had to jump into the belly of the beast, and they decided to make that beast weaker. 2 of those grenades sinking in before they even stepped foot into the bomb site was such perfect play from Team Bliss. They knew that if they sent Fisher Guy down that hatch, Fisher Guy was dead. Fisher Guy was gonna die straight away, and so they went, let's make it a little bit easier for you. And all of those grenades managed to sink. Unfortunately, for Space Station, that catch not quite working out, only the Wamai in the hands of, I believe it was Ashen. It wasn't enough to stop all that utility from coming through.
And it takes a crystal clear mind and no anxiety whatsoever to have the nerves to chill when there's 10 seconds left on the clock and you're at a numbers deficit.
That's Fisher Guy effect, though.
You throw those nades in, you throw those flashes in, you trust Brendo to land those 2 headshots that are needed, and you trust in your teammates.
Yeah. That is so the effect of Fisher Guy, though. Fisher Guy is an IGL that trusts his teammates through and through. That's Fisher Guy with the diffuser in his pocket, and he's got his life in his hands, and he goes, Brendo, you take it, and he puts it in the hands of Brendo, and he's like, cool, you know, like that is the effect of having such a cool, calm, and collected IGL on your roster, calling and execute like that, saying, guys, I'm screwed, but help me out.
I don't know if you heard this, Manny, but I bet everyone at home heard this. A couple of rounds ago, we heard the A-Stream game also go to OT.
Okay.
We're like 2 meters away from Des and Ace,
Yeah,
and I don't know if you guys know this, but Ace is a very loud man. I think he must have a little bit of American blood in him because
we're going to overtime.
he literally said, we're going to
overtime,
overtime. I almost cracked up.
Yeah, me too.
So now we've got bangers on A, bangers on B, and one of these teams will be sent down to the lower bracket. We've got the Aussies with the best performance we have seen from any Australian team in over 18 months. The last time that we saw a team from Australia and New Zealand make it to a major, it was, well, aside from Bliss in Copenhagen, it was Chiefs back in Charlotte, and I believe it was in Gävle, Sweden, where Fisher Guy won 2 maps against a battered OXG playing with their coach. That's not the story of this. This is not our Aussie team just winning because there's a team with a sub. No, they beat Wolves fair and square. They're keeping pace here with SSG as well.
Here goes Oda on his stint in through Strip Club the Lurker for Team Bliss, and he might find Ashen on the other side, seemingly unaware of his presence. Meanwhile, the rest of Team Bliss are looking to clear out the map, which has been pretty well held so far by Space Station. They have extended up all 3 floors.
Oh, no.
But here goes Oda on the cutoff onto Bolt.
Oh,
he might
no.
find the second one onto Ashen, taking the duel a little bit of his HP away, but Hot and Cold is there for the trade.
Every one of Space Station says, I will not leave you to die, my brother. I will come back to get you. I will not let you go down silently. Oda has been taken out. A repeat of this basement bomb site now for Space Station here in OT. Bliss desperate won it at the end of last round, but by such a narrow margin. Now a 4v4, quite a change of pace. Early engagements. But Oda to go down, that's probably one of the best operators to do so. You still have nades in pocket. You still have your hard breach and your soft breach available.
I do like this adaptation here from Wettables. I think he's seen the adversity that Sage went through in the mid-round last time, having faced the 2 C4s, and is going, okay, I'm going to jump on the buck, so we have extra sets of flashbangs, and we're going to be safer as we go down into the basement. Now, the danger of this is that they have lost 1 set of grenades on Oda, right? And last time, the grenades were so instrumental in making this execute work for Team Bliss. They need to find other avenues and options in finding picks that are not collecting them with utility.
Once again, it's the patient game from SSG. No need to overcomplicate things. Janino's got a shield to protect him as well. We've got 2 mirrors on site, so it's going to be challenging for Brendo to have the same impact on the entry he did last time, but he's already making his move. How long is he going to wait here? Sage is so close to this bomb site as well. The flashes go in. Sage crouching his way forward. Ashen finds the first, but Sage finds one. He gets the down on the second as well, but the trade comes through. Hot and Cold wants to go for this revive, but is it safe?
And it's not, I think. Fisher Guy, he's already there and in on the bomb site. He's going to try and take this duel, but Hot and Cold wraps around him, a rotation in through triple, and it's left with all Brendo to do.
So close to finding this first one. Down on the ground for J90. Ashen, such low HP. Hot and Cold still survives, and he is the best player on Space Station in this game. Round in the corner now, Brendo does not have a rotation in. He does not have the diffuser. 10 seconds to make this work. And this crossfire is perfect from SSG. Will he check the right corner? Perfect shot, but Hot and Cold will not succeed the rounds. Space Station now, their second match point of the game, and a chance to finally close this affair.
And Hot and Cold just absolutely set himself amongst Team Bliss in through that late round. He put himself right in between the attack, went left, right, good night, and took all of those gunfights as it came to him. He did this crazy wrap around in through the triple wall, even he went for the backstab on the main push as it came through, and he was really the deal maker there in that last round, and it's going to set Space Station onto another attempt at this match point.
Defenders, protect your bombs.
This is a tense game, Maddie. I can't believe we're only in the bloody play-ins and we're playing best of ones. How
this is a best of one. Oh my god, this is a best of one.
It's a best of one, and I have a feeling we might go all the way, Des. All the way to 15 rounds, Des. Because this game has got what it deserves. It's got a fantastic showing, and I hope you guys are enjoying it as much as we are. Yesterday, Bliss Wolves went 8-6 in favor of Bliss. This time, Bliss are now with match point against them in overtime, and they must push us all the way.
10 seconds remaining.
They're going to send us back down to the basement, so repeating exactly the formula that Space Station did. But Space Station have got a pretty good read, it seems, on the roam game that Bliss have brought to the table. It does look like they are going to extend their way out through. I think it's about 2 floors. It's not too heavy. They're still leaning into some of that more late game utility. But on the side of Space Station, they really want to expedite this clear. Not only do they have Ashen on the Dokkaebi, as he's picked time and time again, but they've also got Forrest going and flexing onto the Jackal, wanting to get himself in nice and early and cut down on that roam game.
Oh, Forrest. Bit of early aggression there in blue, but it is red. Sage, and he's had such a good tournament, hasn't he? And to think that one of these teams will likely go home today, either that or Wolves, the loser of this game will go down to face them in that lower bracket, and I've no doubt Wolves are rearing for the opportunity for revenge or for a chance to take on one of NA's finest. And Space Station now with the chance to close this game on this attacking side, but not a lot has happened in this first minute. Very quiet, not a lot of map control.
Brendo could be in a tough spot here. There isn't really a safe fall-off route now that Forrest has injected himself between the 2 halves of the defense inside of stock. And J90's got info on exactly where he is as well. The only member of help that is there for him is Wettables himself as he comes down red and actually takes down that player, slicing the attack in half. That's going to make Brendo feel a lot safer, but here goes Hot and Cold for his second.
Brendo has found the second for Bliss. A massive advantage now, but we've seen Space Station do it in a 2v4. No doubt they can do it in a 3v5. On this basement, though, it's not as easy as it looks. Fultz does find the first kill to claw it back for SSG.
Nice stuff there from Brendo. Unfortunately, Wettables, just not quite able to land the same fall off that Brendo was able to do, just slipping back down through oil. But that does put Team Bliss in a man advantage now. Going into the basement bomb site, it is extremely hard to execute in the man deficit. When you're even in a man advantage, sometimes going into the basement execute, that can still be hard to pull off. Space Station are in a near, I wouldn't say completely unwinnable position, but like seriously unlikely position to win out this round from here on out.
One pick at a time, that's all you got to think about. What are the checklists here? Hatch still closed on Kitchen. That can't be the avenue. Only barely with 45 seconds left is the hatch in Moto opened up. Still an avenue through Blue, but where are these dread mines from Fish? That's my question.
The danger here, I think, against SSG is that, yes, even though they are in a top spot, they're SSG, and they're going to have some SSG ideas as they start to orbit in towards the bomb site. The Astral being opened up from above with Hot and Cold, and the C4 lineup doesn't land onto Faults. Faults, he looks so ready to walk his way on into the bomb site, and I don't know if Bliss are watching.
Attackers have located
Oh, that's a very keen angle there, but Brendo finds one, the double! Oh, Ashen, once again you will be called upon, but Oda will put you to bed handily. Good night, left, right, and we're going to 15 rounds here. Bliss will not go quietly into that good night. Space Station must once again fight on.
Really good stuff there from Bliss to keep their composure in through the late round, but really I think the round was won and done by Brendo. Early on in the round, was in a really tough spot in Rafters. That is not an easy position to fall off from, right? If you want to try and cross over into Cash, the breach is probably going to be open. You want to jump back down into Rafters, J90's there on the doorway waiting for you, but he takes him down, and he gets away with his life before Hot and Cold can come in for the trade. And even at the end there, as the execute came in through, Brendo, being back on the safety of the bomb site, just holds on to the 1 point of execute that they have going for them and can completely shut them down. Massive round from the younger brother.
And there's been so many rounds like that from Brendo as well. He's been so consistent. 11 and 2 right now. Now, Mandy, I'm pretty sure that it was Brendo and Fisho guy that disconnected. What was it in, I'm going to say, round 5 or something?
You got better memory than me.
It was about halfway through this game. Brendo and Fisho guy disconnected, right? So get this.
Fisho guy was on like 9 kills.
He was.
Yeah.
And now Brendo's on 11 kills since that rehost.
Man.
How? How many kills did he have beforehand? He could even be out fragging Hot and Cold right now.
This is his game. I'll tell you what. This is absolutely his game. But it could still swing either way. SSG, they've gone into their defense, and having won the basement bomb site, they can no longer go there, and they're going to go over to gym and bedroom instead. Their next bomb site of choice. Forest, once again, leaning into the bandits, something that I wouldn't have expected, but it might work out in their favor this time. Bliss choosing not to bring along the Maverick, and instead bringing along the double heart breach on Wedables and on Fisher Guy, could make it pretty tricky to open up this jacuzzi wall.
Well, Jim was one on a clutch from SSG last time. Will they be given the same opportunity this time around? Bliss make their way forwards. Oda with nades in pocket, ready to take down any player in Cash. But Genino is in a fairly safe position. Near the hard floor, he survives that nade just barely. There's also a player at the top of red stairs, who Brendo must now deal with on this shield.
Bliss really want to dissect this push in across the map. Having a think about how they can make that first incision into the belly of the beast actually work for them, and it seems like the grenades are the answer from Oda, but Oda, that's a bit of hard floor that is underneath Ashen, I believe it is on the other side, but here goes Brendo in through his entry from the rafters. Now Ashen's in a bit of a tough spot and has to actually rotate back out. Oh, pretty claustrophobic defense here inside of Con, but the safety of his teammates allows SSG to fall on back.
And so fall on back they do. Trusting in the fact that Bliss will struggle to execute 5v5 in the late round, which can't always agree with that because we saw just, 2 rounds prior, Bliss pushed overtime thanks to an incredibly effective last-minute push on the back of nades and flashes. Minute and change still to play as Bliss continue to drone out this position.
Danger here for Team Bliss is if they want to go in for that execute, they need to start peeling back the layers of the onion. The first one being the mirrors, the second one being the zombies. And those can be kind of expensive, right? You need to use explosives to do that. And as it stands, they don't have a lot of those left. They've got Brendo with one of the Ash Breach charges and Sage with another grenade. And you want to use those grenades to then go and enable in the execute, right? Fisher Guy as well, I believe, has only got a Selma left, or Wedables tries to get this wall open. But Forrest is on the other side for the trick. I think Bliss is starting to really run out of time here.
Oh no, Wedables doesn't have what he needs, and that nade is not going to deal with it. As you said, the trick from Forest will secure that wall for Space Station. 30 seconds now for Bliss.
They have to funnel in through the windows. That jacuzzi wall is going to stay shut, and it's all going to be focused in on A, and Hot and Cold is in the perfect position to deal with it.
It all comes down to this. Fish on the floor. Oda finds the opening kill. Hot and Cold still remains. He has been the demon for Space Station, and he continues to terrorize Bliss. Another one, surely, why not? Forrest finds one. Hot and Cold's gone big. Fisho, guys, the last one standing. Doubters, be gone. SSG are better than ever. Top of their group, as they deserve. America's finest march onwards.
Cool, calm, and collected in that final round for Hot and Cold, right in the center of the attack as they had to funnel in through the balcony. Really nice stuff there from SSG to keep their cool and close it out.
And a devastating loss there for Bliss, who got so close and yet was so fast. Spacestation can breathe a hearty sigh of relief as they are qualified for the Swiss Phase 2 at the Atlanta Major. We will have another All-American roster through to the Swiss phase, and the last Aussie team at this event, the only Aussie team at this event, must hold on through another grueling best of 3 with a Wolves licking their lips down in the lower brackets.
It's going to be a tough battle on the other side. Wolves, they've been preparing all night for this. They do not want to repeat the mistakes that they made just yesterday. And they're going to be there in that lower bracket, ready for Bliss on the other side.
There's no doubt about it. Bliss have had an unbelievable showing thus far at the Major, but it's one thing to go 8-6 and 7-8. You have to now show that you've got what it takes in a BO3 against the Wolves. For a minute, let's just acknowledge for Space Station, this is a huge moment for them. They topped their group. I think a lot of people coming into this would say it's either going to be SSG or Wolves. Well, what a funny story that was. Space Station have come through first, with Wolves being sent early to the lower bracket by Bliss. SSG 2-0 so far at the Major.
Yeah, really exciting stuff for SSG. Great prospects. I think this is one of the most exciting teams, I think, to watch, especially in through the playing stage. I just love their playstyle so much. It's so much fun to watch, and I think these guys are going to have a great time in through Phase 2 to prove their worth and prove that they're one of the best out of NA.
And on the flip side, we've got Bliss down doing what no Aussie team has done for a year and a half, winning a game at a Major. It's been a long time since Chiefs, and even then, that was way back in Gävle at the Sweden Major in 2021, and that was against a team that was playing with the subs. So I think a lot of people looked at that, gave it a little asterisk, and said Chiefs never fulfilled their full potential. Bliss are now doing better than they ever did at a Major, but they could go home today if they cannot get the better of Wolves. And as you said, Wolves have been prepping all night for this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think Team Bliss, they need to hit the reset, right? Like, yes, that was such a close game. There's so much adrenaline, but you need to get back into your cool, calm, collected phase to then go into that second matchup. And I think that's the challenge that they're going to face over the next few hours. They're just going to be waiting, and it's going to be absolutely tantalizing in the mental.
Yeah, that's the thing. You got to sit and wait for a couple of hours. I don't know how much you go in to try and prep for that Wolves game. You know you can beat them. You did it on Chalet. Think a little bit about the veto, but I think this is really where the support staff comes into their own. Min Goran, who is the Korean coach for Team Bliss, he's got to be the one shunting the majority of the mental game. He's got to be thinking, okay, we need to go to these maps, and he just needs to tell the players, don't worry about that. I've got that covered. You just chill out, relax, have a banana, whatever it is that you need.
Have a banana?
I mean, I love having bananas on show days. I just think it's a really great source of potassium and a little bit of a sugar boost. Whatever it is, go for it, chill out, don't stress over, oh, we're going to play this map, or, oh, they're really good at this. Because as long as you get that into your head, I think that's where the cracks start to seep and we start to see a team not live up to their full potential. Yeah,
that's exactly right. I think for these guys, it's about just chilling out. Right, for Team Bliss. I think, yeah, I don't know. I think for Min Goran, look, Min Goran's a chill coach, right? Like, he's one of those guys that, like, you can have a laugh with, and I think that's kind of what they need in this very long break.
Yeah, very much so. Now, Bliss actually don't have anybody else here at the Major, as far as I'm aware. No staff from the organization. I don't even think that Golden, their manager, is here either. So this is really just the 6 of them playing, you know, with the shirt on their back, with the jersey on their back, against some of the best and biggest organizations, not in Rainbow Six, but in esports, right? Like, we're talking about the Wolverhampton Wolves, for goodness sake. Their esports team here with a French roster, the most experienced player in Rainbow Six, Bibu, played from very day one of Pro League on Xbox way back in 2016. He's playing up against Bliss, a bunch of ragtag Aussies with a dream to try and make something happen. Now let's look back at that match that just was an 8-7 for Space Station and have a look at that. Brendo 18-10, Hot and Cold 19-10. I'll tell you what, there was no cold at all today. It was all hot.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Hot and Cold was certainly pretty warm in the server today. He just absolutely wreaked havoc into Team Bliss. There were just some positions that Hot and Cold were in that you would never expect him to be there, right? He's one of those players that is just so hard to dislodge because he just runs around rampant, he does his thing, and he knows how to make plays like that.
And on the flip side, Space Station as a whole, I think a very well-rounded team. No one below 8 kills. The same can be said for Bliss. In fact, overall, I just think that both of these teams have really stepped it up. Yeah, there's been some clutch moments. Hot and Cold has had a few. I can't remember which other players on Space Station had clutches, but we definitely saw one from Sage and one from Fisher Guy. And overall, I think a phenomenal game. I think both teams have a lot to look back on and say we maybe can tune that a little bit up. But overall, pretty happy with that performance. Like, that was a really tight game between two teams playing at their best.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think that was a very back and forth game, and I think we can only be pleased with what the stream beat has brought us once again today. Next game, though, is going to be on the stream, Bleed taking on CAG, an Apex showdown. Will Bleed come out on top? I know we're Bleed fans because, SCA gang rise up, but CAG is certainly the crowd favorites at the international stage.
Very true, but Bleed have been amazing in the Asia League, and they really stunned a lot of people yesterday as well. They actually took down CAG already, so I think that that's going to be a fantastic showing of two really good teams. If you're not familiar with them, I highly recommend you give it a watch. If you are an Aussie or an Oceanic fan, there is actually a Kiwi player, New Zealand player on Bleed, Turd Star, so we actually have 3 out of 4 games here on the B stream today with Oceanic teams or Oceanic players on it with the 2 Bliss games. And of course, that's the one that we will be casting later on today, Wolves versus Bliss, and I cannot wait.
Absolutely. Super excited for that one. The rematch of the day. Very keen for that.
But of course, Bleed versus Cyclops is coming up in just a moment.